A very good morning to you, Lagos. We're on Smooth Breakfast with Rotus and Valentine, and this is Smooth 98.1 FM Lagos. It's 9 o'clock and time for us to go into Lagos Talks 981. That's the hashtag. If you go on Twitter right now at Smooth 981 FM, you will find the hashtag. Type it in the search box so you can follow the conversation. Please use the hashtag with all communication that you send to us through Twitter as well. Our phone line is the major number you can use to call us and to be part of the show. It's 0144899981. That's 0144899981. For WhatsApp, 0809-444-0981. And also Lagos, we're streaming live, so you can watch us on YouTube. The address is youtube.com/smooth981fm Lagos, or simply type in the search box at smooth981fm Lagos. In the studio with us today, we are treating on Lagos Talks 981. It's a budget special. We've been graced or blessed with the presence of representatives from BudgIT. Thank you so very much. We reached out to you and you answered our call. We're very grateful. The representatives from BudgIT NG, Oyebola Agunleye. Good morning.
Good morning.
You can speak into the mic so
Morning.
we can hear you. Good morning. And Ayomide Faleye.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. Thank you very much. You're a research analyst with BudgIT.
Yes.
All right.
Welcome, you guys. It's good to have you in the studio. So we just want to, demystify the budget process for our listeners out there, and also, I guess, maybe talk about our darling federal government and why it seems some of our budgets seem to be a bit late when it comes to implementation. So why don't we start at the top and just help our listeners out with how the budget's, supposed to come together, its purpose, and so on. Why don't we start from there? No technical terms. very keep everything really simple for everybody out there. We'll start with that.
Okay. So basically, for us, for easy understanding, we define the budget in a simple way. We say where is the money coming from, and where is the money going to. So that's the revenue and the expenditure side. So basically, that's the first thing you should know about the budget. That's what the document is about.
Where it's coming from.
Where the money is coming from and where the money is going to.
Actually, before we even go into definitions, I'm big fans of yours. Why don't you tell Lagos what does BudgIT do? Who is BudgIT?
Okay, basically BudgIT, we're a civic tech organization. Yes, we use civic tech to intersect with citizens, basically to explain public finance documents. That's where the budget need came from. Budget.
Right.
So we start from budget documents and then other subsequent documents that makes up the budget. So we use infographics, videos.
I love your infographics.
And we also do some institutional engagements, online, offline. Community outreach. We track budget. We track projects. We do something on the extractives and
I think your big thing is transparency, yes,
and accountability. That's all our advocacy line.
Right.
That's where it falls.
Shining a light on how the state budget, federal government budgets can be more transparent for everybody out there.
Eric, before going to the federal government's 2018 budgets and the previous budgets that existed, really, let's explain to Nigerians really the process. You said it's what is expected, what comes in and what goes out.
So basically, it's about where the money is coming from and where the money is going to. Of course, we know money will come from VAT, will come from CIT, will come from other sources, will come from oil, and then independent revenue. There's so much, how would I say, sources of revenue. And then we also know that the money has to go somewhere. Capital projects, administrative projects. But surprisingly, 42% of what has been budgeted for capital projects in the 2018 proposed budget is actually administrative.
So let's sound like we're talking to a 10-year-old. What is a capital project? So because we don't want to use ambiguous terms here. We want to simplify it, make it as simple as possible. So the average market woman now who's listening would understand how the budget really affects her. Because as far as she's concerned, it's just jargon that's meant for the bigwigs, people in the Senate or executive arm of the government.
Okay, in very, very lay terms, let's assume the budget is like a piece of paper, like a woman is taking to the market. So basically, when she's going to the market, she needs to put all the information all the things she plans to do for that day on that paper. So she's going to the market, she puts, I'm going to buy rice, I'm going to buy pepper, I'm going to buy oil, you know, more like a guide to like guide her. So then capital projects basically are projects that have to do with more like infrastructure, buildings, not things basically that how will I put it,
people directly,
yeah, that benefit people directly, you know, schools, roads, and all those things. So basically, so if a market woman is going to the market, those are those things that she puts, the things that she's planning on buying, like that would benefit more or less the people. So yeah, that's basically putting it in very, very late terms.
Okay. So back to your comment now. You said 42% that's supposed to be allocated to capital projects.
No. Okay, so in the budget there's a provision for capital projects.
Right.
So there's a difference. There's an administrative capital project and there's a developmental capital project.
Okay. So let's talk about that.
Okay, so 42% of the capital allocation now goes to administrative. Administrative means the Ministry of Finance wants to raise a building, they want to buy computers, they want to buy printers, they want to fix the road in the federal executives, in the secretariats, they want to fix air conditions, all of that, office equipment. They want to buy vehicles to move around, they want to buy patrol cars, all of that is administrative. It does not directly affect me. It doesn't directly affect the woman that is managing her kiosk and selling roasted yam and plantain and fish and ugu leaves and all of that, because it doesn't directly affect her. But the little things that affect her: fix her gutter in front of her house, provide light, you know, fix the road that passes in front of her shop. Those are the little things that really affect her. But
and what stream of budget affects that sort of project?
It's the capital project.
Okay.
Yes. So if 42% of the capital allocation now goes to administrative, that is in addition to overhead costs, in addition to personnel costs, that has already been budgeted for already in the recurrent expenditure.
Okay.
So if 42% is still of the capital project still goes
back to administrative.
I mean, then we have about 58 go to the public, and you know, because of the delay in passage of the budget, they don't actually exhaust the capital allocation, because I mean.
So should we go to discuss the delays now, or Valentine? What do you want to go into?
We'll discuss the delays, because I mean there's been a trend over the years, the disparities in, you know, one agency or you have the parastatals not coming forward to, you know, present or defend the details of the budget proposals that is sent, you know, exactly. So we see all these delays, and sometimes they seem very unwarranted.
Well,
unfounded,
considering that it's Nigeria. I mean, nothing is.
But how do you explain that? Because people sometimes really are caught in the crosshairs of whether the executive or the legislature do not see eye to eye on certain terms of the budget.
Okay, so the major issue that we have about budget process in Nigeria is that we don't comply to the minimum global standards.
Which is? Like,
there's a budget calendar. Yes. We don't have that.
Okay.
So we can as well just pass the budget on May 28th, so that we don't pass it on May 29th or after then. We can as well just pass the budget whenever we like. Well, of course, before May 29th. So we don't have a budget calendar. That's the first thing.
And we're supposed to.
Yes, that's like the minimum, although set by the Global Initiative for Fiscal Transparency. They call them gifts. Sorry, that's a big word, but I cannot diffuse that. Okay. So, but there's a minimum standard for budget process, but Nigeria is really not complying to that. Although we hope that soon we would, you know, adopt some of the policies under that provision. So I think maybe soon, but really it's not. That's the major problem.
We'll come to that major problem, because as major and complex as it seems, it's actually one of the basic things that should exist before the budget is even talked about. The calendar. Lagos, keep it here. We're on Lagos Talks. This is a budget special. We have representatives from BudgIT here, research analysts Oyebola Agunleye and Ayomide Faleye.
Okay, so you tried this time with the
names.
What's the pronunciation of
English?
No, you have to correct it.
Agunleye.
And Ayomide Faleye. Oyebola Agunleye. Ayomide Faleye.
Driving in Lagos, I have to keep it there. Or can I take it off?
We can put a shorter
So
one.
it's gonna go for about 40 minutes. No, an hour and a half because we have something else to do.
So 9:40 will be
So
done.
about 9:40.
Where, do we have the alert? Do we have the alert?
It's
So-
quite difficult to do that.
Yes,
But
yes.
We're doing. What are we going into now? The delays
I
or?
think
yeah, we should go straight to
into
the delays. Yeah.
Okay.
Because
Understand the
the budget process
kinks.
alone is a long. It's a long.
Yeah.
Yeah, wait. People, actually, I think that's important. We're talking about when the medium-term expenditure framework. Then the. So, are you going to go through that process?
It's a long. I don't know if we should do that.
Yeah?
Because before the MTF, there is an MTSS.
Oh,
Okay.
that's
And
another
MTF
thing. You should
yes.
actually tell people what that means.
Yeah, we need to. No, actually, see, it's long. Eh? No.
No,
You
just
can
the
just
acronyms to
shorten
make
it, but just say, look, this is the process. We go from MTF, president comes to present to the National Assembly, then just
Like that, how it goes.
finish. No need to go into extra details. Then we can now go into the delays. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, fine. All right.
So before 9:40, at least we'll have achieved something.
Yeah. At least the process. The
Yeah.
process. This line has.
It is. And I feel like some members of the legislature, were on record.
Most of them don't even know this.
Thank you very
And
much.
if you don't mind, we'll be having a second budget. We could have one of you over to join us
Yeah.
because we intend having ministry, someone from the ministry to come in to address the issues. So
Because
we'll
at that
let you
time,
know.
why we're doing this first with you is from a neutral point of view, so we'll get everybody else to understand what should be expected. So when they now come, we now hold them accountable.
Like they don't even know. You'll be surprised. You
Yeah.
have no idea.
We haven't talked about recurrent expenditure yet, have we?
No.
No, we haven't.
But recurrent is usually, I don't know.
Budget has been carried
It's
over
a
from-
normal thing. You can't discuss it because you really do not know where the fault is.
How do you explain to a 5-year-old what recurrent expenditure is?
Recurrent is what is for a lady is your
Yeah.
sanitary pad
Yeah.
that you buy every month.
Yes.
That's recurrent.
Something you
Recurrent is your food.
continually
Very
spend
true.
money on.
Yes.
Yes.
Your
a basic
TV.
necessity.
Yes.
Yes.
Your capital project is you need to buy a TV.
Yes,
Yes,
new
you have to
plan.
change.
Yeah.
Yes, you want to
A
fix-
milestone. A new
Yes, you
milestone
want
you're
to fix
looking
the roof
for.
that is leaking.
You see this thing?
Priorities,
We say it on
yeah.
radio.
That's priority. That's why there's so much. They I don't know, maybe because of the way Nigeria is.
Yeah.
They place priority on some things
That are
others-
not necessary.
Yes.
Are you of the opinion that the size of government is also an issue because of the bloated
most
overhead?
definitely.
Right.
Also.
So we can
But-
also
yeah.
okay.
That's for some reason I think that's a subjective
Argument.
Yes.
Well, Sanusi said so now. I even told them to their faces.
Well,
right?
Sanusi could also be a subjective person.
He's
You
like-
never believe this. before.
Yeah, but then but no, I mean, is it subjective? The size of the civil service. If you look at what they speak, because what is it now? How much is supposed to go to capital? 42. But what's the split? If you look at the split, they never implement capital the entire way. It never gets fully implemented.
Yeah.
But recurrent, everybody has to get
They
paid their
blow it,
salary,
they
right?
blow
So
it,
it
yeah.
ends up being like 60-40 or 70-30 or even less higher than that. So but the argument has been that if you cut down the size of governments, then you now reduce recurrent
Cost of
expenditure.
government is high in Nigeria. It's crazy.
But then the flip side, if you cut down the size, that's unemployment because a lot of people are now out of
yeah,
work.
because if there were other sectors to put those people, it,
Right.
wouldn't be bad.
Right.
But
But then those other sectors are
I
not
would want to be a
competitive.
civil servant if I have no
As
job
it is now,
Right.
this 2018 budget is already in deficit.
before.
Like,
Yeah.
When is our
Massive
budget not
deficit.
a deficit?
like massive.
Yeah, it's 2 trillion now, eh?
My goodness, yeah. Over 2 trillion.
Yeah. So okay, so we come in with what were you actually explaining before we left just now? It was
Recurrent
the
expenditure.
We're talking capital projects.
capital project. So
We'll come back and link it with recurrent expenditure. so
recurrent
explain
expenditure,
why,
the
yeah,
size, and then we can now do
disparities.
the budget process.
Yes, okay.
Fine. Then after the budget process, I guess the delays.
Yes.
Delays,
so
and then
fine.
we can touch on this interesting man that wept yesterday.
Oh.
The
How
dramatic.
many states implement this? But he can whip all he wants. It's 1.3 trillion. Will you implement
We'll
it?
wait for him.
Yeah, that's
If
the.
you go
He can
for-
sign a 5 trillion budget if he wants.
What do you even call it? It's a budget of something crystallization.
Yeah, it's a joke. We laughed about him over a month.
Whoa.
Hey, Bola, if you need to excuse yourself, let me know.
Okay.
What?
He's a bit
He's not
down.
feeling. He's not
Yeah.
feeling.
You're not? Are you serious? So sorry.
Oh, sorry.
I have to force him.
Yeah. Does she bully you in the office?
Yeah, that's
It looks like it. All people that wear glasses.
Yeah, that fancy.
No, I don't. I don't care.
Sir, please, when it's time, help me bring out the alerts. Sir?
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
You're gonna go on a break before then.
Yes.
Right.
Well, the break is.
Just remember to put people know that.
Sure,
What he's
sure, yeah.
spending.
Thank
The
you.
Cross River guy though. I mean, he's going from 301 billion to 1.3 trillion.
Just, I mean, come on.
Like a billion.
Who are you?
He's the man of God. God will come and help him implement it.
Why didn't we play this song before Lagos talks?
Ads. What's his last name? Is it Osiko? Kobams, what is it? Asuko.
Where is Ikemesit? He said he was going to join.
She said it was gonna call in, I think.
How's that going to work?
Don't block
Oh,
the
it's true.
phone line.
The phone lines, yeah, they're supposed to be open.
Yeah, working.
They're supposed to be open.
Alright, 50, you want to do your thing where you talk over it or what?
So do my thing.
What are you, mic 4?
That's a message from Kobam Sasoko, a great collaboration with Peak, and reminding us this morning that whatever it is that you do, whatever challenges that beseech you every single day, well, I like the statements where it says it gives you wings to fly. Your wings are meant to fly, not to just keep you down. So whatever it is that you're faced with, in spite of the odds, you can still be unstoppable. Just believe in yourself.
Believe in yourself.
Peak and Kobams Asukwo, the prolific producer that's coming together to bring this message to you this morning. And Lagos, we're back in to the budget special on Smooth Breakfast with Rotus and Valentine. Join us on YouTube. See me giving the eye.
You should watch YouTube with Valentine, all these traffic signals. You should check it out. It's really hilarious stuff.
Traffic signals. Really YouTube.com/Smooth91 FM Lagos. We're joined by wonderful research analysts coming in from BudgIT to break down the nitty-gritties of the basics of understanding the budget of Nigeria. We have Oyebola Agunleye in the studio with us and Ayomide Faleye. Good morning to you again.
Good morning.
And
All right,
Lagos,
so-
remember Lagos, you can participate. WhatsApp 0809-444-0981, and you can also call in. Yeah.
Yes.
0144899981. So do hop in on the conversation. So we were talking about capital
Capital
projects.
budgets.
Right, capital expenditure. Yes, capital expenditure. Right.
And getting to the point of really having recurrent expenditure in Nigeria, most people do not understand what recurrent expenditure is. So you're explaining on camera on YouTube. For those of you who are watching, you must have caught some details on that. Recurrent expenditure are basically things that the government spends money on that are necessary
Yes, those
to
things
running the government.
Yeah, it's like the running cost. Like it's something that is recurrent. For
Yes.
example, for a regular, an average student, your daily your running costs.
Do without
You
spending
can't
money
do
on
without
them.
them.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
So, but for capital expenditure in an average Nigerian home, if you have your roof leaking, that's major for you. So you really have to fix it.
Mm.
Then if your chair is bad, I mean, you can't sit on the floor. You have to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a bad fridge, you have to fix it. Those things directly affect you, and it's a more value. I'll put it that way. So for the government, the schools, the roads, the hospitals, those are major things because they directly affect the people from whom they collect tax from. So that's why we keep crying about it.
So, like the Jubilee Bridge that Ambode commissioned in Ajah, for example. I used to be around about, used to cause a lot of traffic. The bridge now has made things easier for me. That's capital expenditure.
Capital project.
Okay, right.
And another thing about capital projects, something you can see, you can touch, you can feel.
Right.
Okay, that's the school. Oh, who built the school? The government. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Now, somebody asked a question on social media the other day and asked, put a price tag on it. One of our analysts on Freshly Pressed added to that money and said it's going to give, I think the money rose to about 300,000 naira prize money to anyone who could put a finger on one policy that the government has put in place.
Well,
Because it has to go from policy
yes,
to programs
yes.
and then being implemented to things we can see and feel and affects our daily lives.
Yes.
But is there one policy that we could actually say, oh, this is something that is part of budget of consolidation, really, that the federal government in 2018 has said has achieved so far?
Valentine, this table you're shaking right now.
I was going to say that. Well, like the president mentioned that this year's budget is a budget of consolidation. So that's why the budget code, the what do you call it now? Capital item code has ERGP.
Yes.
The Economic Recovery and Growth Plan.
Yeah.
So they have a plan for it. So I'm
when are they going to actualize that plan?
Well, we're still here. So I mean, we've not even outrun the what do you call it, 2017 budget. So we could,
which was passed late, by the way.
Which is a norm, by the way.
And
yeah.
And Lagos, if you go to the website of BudgIT, it's www.yourbudget. That's budget, replace the E with an I, .com. Has the infographics. Thanks to your infographics, we see that the budget of consolidation for 2018 is to the tune of 8.612 trillion naira,
Yes.
which is a deficit against, by over 2 trillion. Against what's supposed to be the total revenue of the federal government.
Can you help our listeners and explain what budget deficit is?
Okay, well, there's no budget that doesn't have a deficit, really, because, I mean, it's not like you have money that you already want to spend. So sometimes we borrow to finance the budget.
Right.
So that's a major issue for us, because we already have outstanding. Now we're going to borrow to finance our budget. So we have deficits on that side. So.
In your opinion, what mistakes have the government been? I say mistakes deliberately because I feel like some people, some individuals in government, policy makers and members of the executive put figures out there. For instance, the news that hit us today, Governor Ayade, Professor Ben Ayade of Cross River State, coming out to say, that he wept in a dramatic twist of events, announcing the budget that has been signed into law for that single state to the tune of 1.3 trillion naira, and calls it, in a very funny term, budget of kinetic crystallization, giving ambiguous terms to a budget that he claims to be a victory for the state, surpassing, according to him, all other states' budgets.
Exactly. Yes.
But if it seems like they're very excited about putting figures down and not necessarily translating that to physically appreciable projects or programs that should be put in place.
Well, for the governor, I think his budget is quite bogus. I don't even think. We all know it rose from a 301 to 1.3, 301 billion
yes,
to 1.3. So I would say it's bogus. Lagos could still manage with the budget that he has. I mean, Lagos has money, even though we are also Lagos is in debt. Let me not say we, because we live in Lagos. Lagos is in debt. But I mean, wouldn't you borrow someone who has a source of income, money, because he will pay back? So
right.
for Lagos,
answering Valentine. Even though you're not. Okay, so do we want to talk about when the
money is disbursed, they get it, but they collect it, even for capital projects, even for zonal intervention. When the money is ready, is an issue. But for us citizens, it's an issue for us, because the delay in budget passage and all of that, it means that capital projects will not be fully implemented, like you said. So it means capital allocation also, we'll be spending less. There was a news that went around one time that only 173 had been spent.
Okay.
So the Minister of Finance countered and said, no, they've spent 2.1 billion, 2.1 trillion. Okay, so give us the details.
Yes. Break it down. Let's see.
And that was the end of that news.
That was it. No, there was no further talk on that.
Because we kept pressuring. Okay, you have it, because we got the figures from CBN statistical bulletins. Are you saying CBN is not
accurate? Right.
Because you submit the figures to CBN. So what are you telling us? Give us the figures. That's what we're advocating. You're saying we're saying the wrong thing. Give us the actual figures. Put it up on social media. Print it and let everybody see it. But
and then in turn query people, the bodies like NNPC, and saying that they're overbloating their budget.
That's one of the issues that we have with late passage. And of course, sometimes there's no consolidation in budget process formulation. For example, the executive also have their own process. The legislature have their own process. The budget office also has to do something. So there's really there is no synergy between them. There could be a political undertone, which is really not what we are concerned about.
Right.
If both of you have different budget formulation and execution process,
and you keep rolling around the details,
it causes that process to be unstable, such that it affects the passage of the budget. So.
Ikeme is going to join us right after this break. We'll take a break, Lagos. It's the budget special with a special research analyst from BudgIT, Ayomide Faleye and Oyebola Agunleye. Keep it here. Welcome back. Welcome back.
All right, no trouble.
Hey.
Good morning. Nice to meet you. Yeah. Do you consent to being called BudgIT?
We'll have to, yeah.
It's budget now, is it not?
It's budget.
It's
budget.
budget I've always known.
Yeah.
Because of the way I'm saying it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spelling, in case they want to check it out. I think.
Yeah,
okay, so wait, what are we going into now? Now we want to talk about the process, are we?
Yeah.
People know the process.
Yeah, there's got to be some form of.
I was thinking
what do you personally want to?
I was thinking that we could talk about when the budget is passed and what people should expect.
Okay.
Because you remember the last time that we had a different figure?
Yes.
7.2 and then 7.4 or 7. We had different figures. So now we have an 8.6.
Right, I was about to say that they've increased.
We don't know if the budget is going to increase or it's going to reduce or they're going to cut down some MDA budgets. We don't even know what is going to happen. So I think going forward, when will the 24th of April?
Yeah.
We're expecting the budget. We are expecting it on the 22nd anyway from an anonymous source so that we can then push out figures before
it's officially released.
Another thing is where do we go to go and look these things up? We go to the MBS, yeah?
MBS is for data, so general data, but you use budget office. They have it on budget office.
That's
this on their website is publicly available.
Yes.
What's his name? What's that guy's name?
Akabueze.
Ben Akabueze. Yes, it's publicly available.
Okay.
But not in
Sorry, what about the ministry? What about Udo Udoma's office?
Udo Udoma is
Budget and National Planning. He's the minister.
So the director of budget, director general of budget is Ben Akabueze.
Okay.
Yes.
So his website is where the average Nigerian can go to go and once it.
But she made a comment about the presentation.
It's not like, let me show you what the budget looks like. It's not in the best format. So you cannot, sorry, this is what the budget looks like.
So it's a PDF that they just put to, okay, I've seen this, yeah, it's like how many pages is that thing? 1,000 pages, have you?
Yeah.
Of line items.
Almost 2,000.
Of line, what?
Line items.
Line items.
Click on line items. Let's go. Lagos, we're back in at the last few minutes actually of Lagos Talks 91, and it's the the budget special. I'm still living in the reveries of past special, but anyway, it's all part of the federal government's implementation and projects and everything goes around. Now we hear figures swirling around our heads. We see figures quoted off the newspapers. Now the recent issue that besieged Nigerians is actually where we had to, the present budget of 2018 had to be delayed over time due to the MDAs not coming forward to defend the details of the budget presented to the executive arm of government. Can you explain why that delay for Nigerians to understand? Because all Nigerians are waiting for is when the budget will be passed, and not really understanding what has been causing these delays by the ministries, departments, and agencies of government.
Okay, so as much as they say it's the delays because of the MDAs not coming to defend the budget, there's also something about excuse me, about the GOEs. They call them government I'm focusing now.
Is it government operated entities? Or
yeah, exactly. Thank you. They call them that. So the what do you call it? The National Assembly claims they are the ones they are waiting for. But really the budget passage doesn't really the delay in GOEs coming to defend or do anything about the budget does not really affect the federal government budget directly, so it shouldn't be an excuse for us. No, because they are like two separate things. Although in a way it feeds into the budget, but it still doesn't stop the passage. Okay,
so typically the process, as I understand it, is all of the GOEs, all right, that each ministry is responsible to submit a budget estimates to their ministry, which then compiles and then sends it over to the budget office, which then compiles for all of the ministries and then consolidates all of them, the round figure, put them in a document like we were talking about off air, and then sends them over to the National Assembly. But then when you look at the constitution, and this kind of where I've come in because my background is in law.
Okay.
In all federal republics, the National Assembly sort of has the power of the purse in terms of final approvals and all of that.
Yes.
And when you had a situation where in November and early December, the government ostensibly, when the appropriation bill also was presented to the proposed budget rather was presented to the National Assembly. They said they wanted this expeditiously attended to, and they were going to they were going to, from their own side, make it possible that this was going to happen. I think for me, it seems like there is a dissonance within the executive arm itself, because it seems that there is some form of political will on the part of the presidency at the top, at least, to have this done as soon as possible. But for some reason, a lot of these heads of some ministries are even involved in this. It's not just the departments and agencies. You've got some ministries that haven't appeared before the National Assembly, and it's going to be really hard because you've got some inconsistencies. I think one of the federal lawmakers was talking about a particular department claiming a particular line item in 2018 that they had already included in 2017, and essentially what that reconciliation and defense process is supposed to do is for them to come out and say, okay, for some reason what we had budgeted for this in 2017, it wasn't enough for this, so we included it in 2018. I've got a lot of folks that haven't done that.
Figure. I think that's the main issue.
I think that was the main issue, that it was the same figure. I think it was purchase of computers or something, which was supposed to be a one-time purchase.
And that's supposed to be a capital expenditure, not a recurrent expenditure.
No, that's not capital. That's administrative.
It's administrative.
Yes,
so it's completely cut off from the public.
It's completely
like we have no idea what they're using it for. It's just something that services that department.
But who should question these things? Because when you see these items being listed, it sounds as if it's a reasonable cause, but it necessarily doesn't have a concrete explanation.
Okay, so let me just quickly take you back to when the 2017 budget was released, and we sort of put up some things and frivolous items because we felt some line items were too bogus.
Yes.
And believe me, by the time the budget was passed and then the enacted bill was released, there were some changes, surprisingly. And it's even reflecting in this year's proposed budget. I mean, they've trimmed. Ordinarily, you see sewage charges for like 80 billion, and then you go back and you look at it. But now they seem to be trimming it. They want to buy photocopy machines. They want to buy vehicles. They are a bit better than.
When you say better, what do you mean?
You know, when something reduces from say like 90 billion to like 20 billion, I mean.
You're saying
so
that's
because of the now.
You're saying that's because of the scrutiny that you've provided, yes? By questioning those items at 90 billion, they now revise it and it comes down to like 20.
Maybe the National Assembly didn't have enough time to go over the line items. You know, the line items you can just overlook it.
And how many are on the list?
No, the budget is like 1,918 pages.
And who's supposed to go through all these details?
Everybody, we all have to.
And the lawmakers are supposed to.
If we had access to it, really, I mean, it's not like the budget is in the best format. It's in PDF. Who knows how to use online to PDF to download?
Right.
By the time you convert, the figures are all over the place.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where that's the major work
for you guys,
us.
right?
So we then try to, adjust, do the data mining so that we look neat. We compress it and we put it on our website
with your infographics and everything. Yeah.
We would go through that stress. It's
so
not like it's
assuming your budget did not exist, Nigerians are just going to be sitting down and swallowing up whatever
You'll be left with the PDF. Yeah.
I mean, you still can't blame the government. People are not really interested. I mean,
why people are only interested in what
we don't have trust in the government.
Right.
We've seen it.
Right.
You know, for example, if I have to go through the budget process, it starts from the campaign stage. You tell me you are going to do this, I'll do this for you. I'll do this. You give me indomie and rice, and then I vote for you. And then the first year, we're like, okay, we're still settling. We'll be settling his people. The second year, the third year, the fourth year, you're not doing anything. At the tail end of the fourth year,
and we're relying solely on the recurrent expenditure. Meanwhile, the capital projects that were
the current expenditure does not even get to me.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I'm a taxpayer. It doesn't get to me. It is my own money that you are using to run your government. That's the funny thing. So I'm supposed to get something in return. What am I supposed to get? Good school. for my children.
Real quick, during the break, you talked about what our listeners can expect going forward as far as implementation of 2018. Okay, so why don't we get into that as far as...
So we're hoping that on the 24th, as we heard, that the budget will be released.
April, that's this month, yeah?
Yes,
okay.
This month. The budget will be released. And we're hoping that the figures would have been cross-checked, because some of the revenue figures are slightly
overstated.
Yes,
yeah.
They are very overly optimistic.
Yeah, right.
So we were looking at them adjusting so that we don't run into more debt, and that it would actually stabilize the economy, like they say. Because I mean, crude oil is doing well now.
Yeah,
what happens if it drops to about $33 dollars per barrel? Then we are in trouble. And then exchange rate is fine now. It's at 305.
That's the CBN's exchange rate. On black parallel market is 362. But right.
But for CBN it's 305. We don't know what would happen tomorrow. So we're still in an unstable time. So we should probably tailor I'm looking at a revenue that is realistic, that will be tailored to what we can actually do, as in what we can afford. I mean,
do you have a particular number?
Well, I can't give figures because sometimes some of our figures are not really accurate.
Or something.
Last year we did 7.6.
Okay.
Now
your revenue?
No.
I mean, okay, total budget. Yeah.
7.6, 7. Yeah.
All right.
So this year we're doing 8.6. That's like $1 trillion.
Yeah.
And we didn't make last year's budget. We are not even done with last year's budget. Capital expenditure is not even fully implemented.
We have a quick question in from Ugo in VI. He says, please, I have a question for the guest. When government says the budget total figure is, say, 1 trillion naira, does that mean that 1 trillion naira represents a net of revenue and expenses, or just the revenue? Revenue and expenditure. And expenditure. That's why I said where the money comes from, where the money goes to. That's the total budget.
Okay.
Yes.
We have here yet another one here. Somebody sent in a lot of pictures and says Mautu Road has been totally blocked. Okay, that's totally unrelated to this point. Thank you very much for sending this on, Lagos. In a bit to wrap it because we're almost out of time.
Okay.
And thank you so very much, Ayomide Faleye, for breaking this down in very simple terms, and Ekemese for coming in. We find that some certain arms of government, permit me to go back to Ayade, who put up these figures and everything. Who bears the brunt of those funds, or the amounts that they call? If they say budget of 1.3 trillion, does that mean that the state has that money to fund, or they are going to rely on loans now?
Okay, I don't know. You want to say something?
Okay, yeah. So I was going to say, especially with Cross River, because we're talking about this at the tail end of Freshly Pressed, and I spent almost 2 weeks there. And when you look at it, I know you have a debt list. Right, of some of your states, and Cross River I think ranks in the top 10 of the most indebted states in the country. Yes, because exactly they're still paying for Obudu. Lots of people don't know they're still paying for Tinapa. They're paying for a bunch of other things. So the only way I think, right, from my vantage point, they are going to make such a number, because they're not going to make it from FAC. They're not going to make it from their federal allocations. Will be
not definitely from IGR.
Yeah, they're definitely not going to make it from IGR, and they have an IGR problem where, in fact, they have a multiple taxation problem in that state. They won't make it from debt. They'll have to go to the debt market. And when you're looking at a situation where I think about 34 states or so have some form of subnational foreign or local debt,
they all have.
Everybody has. Cross River is digging a significant hole for itself.
Thank you very much. We want to quickly, because we need to run. When we need to get access to all this information, the statistics, the simplified, breakdown that you make available on the budget website, where do we go?
That's www.yourbudget.com. And then you can follow us on Twitter at BudgITng and on Facebook as well. That's budget without replacing the E with an I. Yes. Thank you so very much.
BudgIT. That's right, yeah?
Exactly.
BudgIT.
Please, thank you very much, Ayomide Faleye and Oyebola Agunleye, from the research analyst from BudgIT NG. And please be available when we'll call you back, because we'll bring some government representatives in.
Oh, it's going to be spicy. Very spicy.
Up next, Lagos, is Wema Alat.